It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I hear all the noise, and when I go back and I look, I see, a truck a few more blocks down going down the bike path. And for some reason, I went that way. And when I went that way, I seen a couple of bodies laying right there in the bike path. And when I was looking, seeing if there's anybody else, I heard gunshots. There was one female that I saw near the body. She must have seen it actually happen because she just kept screaming, and it was
horrifying.
Yeah, horrifying.
As we continue to monitor the very latest news on today's radical Islamic terror attack right here in New York City, Fox News just confirmed that the suspect is now out of surgery after being wounded by brave police officers. As we continue still with Sebastian Gorka. Also now joining us is Fox News correspondent at large Geraldo Rivera and the author of the new book, Fatwa, Hunted in America, Pam Geller. Geraldo, I'll bring you in. I remember on this program, over my shoulder is bin Laden in the hills of Tora Bora. And yet here we are, 15 years later, and here we are still, and it's ongoing. They do not give up. This evil, rigid, sick, twisted, convert or die ideology continues.
First, my love and my sincere condolences to my homies in New York. I bicycle everywhere, use that bike path often. This was a particularly despicable, cowardly attack. Most of those killed, I am told, were just riding their bicycles and were hit from behind by this careening truck that came down on them and smashed them and squashed them and ran over them. People reporting tire marks across the body, limbs, torn asunder. It's just horrifying, Sean. It is.
Geraldo, you see those bicycles? There's no way those people on those bicycles survived. They were shredded.
They absolutely were. This guy wanted to kill himself. He wanted suicide by cop. That's why he was running around with his preposterous fake guns, the pellet gun and the other fake gun. He wanted to be killed by cops. Officer Ryan Nash of the 1st Precinct almost did the right thing. He shot him in the belly, but as you mentioned earlier, he just got out of surgery. The perpetrator just got out of surgery. We've defeated the real caliphate. I've heard you and Dr. Gorka talking about that. Raqqa has fallen. They're scattered. ISIS is scattered throughout southeast Syria now. But there is the virtual caliphate. Whether you're from an Uzbek or a Pakistani or a Saudi, whatever you are, you can be motivated. You can get instructions over the internet now. But we almost stopped. Just one thing. Yeah. Deputy Commissioner John Miller, one of the last people to interview Osama bin Laden, he has started a program whereby the NYPD is contacting all the businesses in the New York area that sell products like trucks, rent trucks like this, and they're trying to give these proprietors roadmaps to know when there is someone with evil intent doing something with their product. They've got to stop them from renting these trucks. They've got to put those cement barricades in the middle of the bicycle paths.
We've got to monitor social media with a vigilance. We have the capability. Geraldo, stay there. This book, interestingly enough, that I'm holding, Fatwa, Hunted in America. This is out tomorrow. Fatwa, Hunted in America, Pam Geller. Well, we've been following this. You've been telling everybody that will listen about this evil, sick ideology. It is, and what Geraldo and Dr. Gorka are talking about, the use of the internet. Talk about it.
Well, listen, this is why I wrote the book, because the American people are being disarmed in the war of ideas. They're being disarmed in the information battle space. Initially, New York authorities and Mayor de Blasio denied that it was jihad terror. And this follows a pattern in the West. They deny that jihad terror is jihad terror, and even when it's obviously jihad terror, they still continue to deny it. The problem is not trucks and rental companies. The problem is not guns and it's not knives. The problem is the ideology. And there are no lone wolves in the global jihad. They're all soldiers. And what is the internet but a means of communication? The problem is the jihadic doctrine. He was yelling Allahu Akbar. That was Muhammad's jihadist war cry. His last name...
By the way, if you were watching CNN, it was a little different. He was witness. Suspect was yelling, God is great. in Arabic. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and his
Sean.
last name was Saifullah, which means sword of Allah. And I'm sure when he was vetted by immigration authorities, they knew that this man was moderate, and they knew that his name meant that. The fact is, Muslim immigration means more Islamic terrorism. It's just that simple. President Trump has tried to impose national security restrictions, and again, the leftist Islamic Alliance has opposed it.
All they want to do is vet. Let's vet them. Dr. Gorka, I hear you.
Yeah, so what was just said is incredibly important. I've worked with the NYPD, I've worked with the pavement pounders in the Bureau. It's full of patriots. But when the commissioner of the NYPD refuses to say what it was that this attacker shouted at the press conference, what is he saying about Americans? Is he saying we're too stupid to understand, or is he continuing the political correctness? When Governor Cuomo, within minutes of the attack, says there is no broader conspiracy, this is a lone attacker. Governor, there is no way on God's earth you
guys
can
raise
know
a great
that
point.
within minutes of an attack.
Yeah, Geraldo, last word.
There's no way he can know that.
Real quick.
Well, I think that is a defeatist notion. The NYPD has the best surveillance in the Western world
It was
on various
dismantled.
Muslims and
It was
Muslim
dismantled
groups.
by CARE and by Mayor de
That's
Blasio. It was
not true. They are
dismantled.
still
The counterterrorism program was
very
dismantled.
active. There's 25,000
They've been disarmed.
Muslims
Listen,
living in.
last week, a jury convicted a Muslim jihadi in a plot to behead me, an ISIS-inspired attack. There have been numerous attacks on my life by ISIS-inspired jihadis in this country.
All right, hang on one at a time. Geraldo, go ahead.
This terrorist attack is the first time since 9/11 that they've gotten anything like this kind of first success. We are taking prudent actions. When you guys talk about Muslims as being the devil, you overlook the fact that we have a substantial 4%.
Who said that? Why do I have to pat on the back every Muslim that doesn't want to kill me? I expect that.
Of our population.
We're not talking about all Muslims. We're talking about jihadists. Stop conflating them together. Stop broad brushing Muslims all as jihadis.
4% of our population is Muslim American. You're not going to stop
It's irrelevant.
someone from self-starting themselves on this ideology. What you have to do now is good police work, good surveillance, pass those sections of the Patriot Act that have lapsed.
They've been dismantled. NYPD had to dismantle their counterterrorism program. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
And stereotyping.
Remember that at the election booth. Remember that at the election booth for mayor, New York mayor.
We'll have a lot more on this. Stay with us. We have the very latest information on this story. New details coming up every minute. President Trump, he just tweeted again. We'll tell you what he said, plus a powerful monologue. Tonight, we investigate the investigators. And also tonight, the great one, Mark Levin. Rare appearance. He's here. Busy news night. We'll continue. This is a Fox News alert. A jihadist struck New York City today, killing 8 people, injuring nearly 15. President Trump just moments ago tweeted, quote, I have just ordered Homeland Security to step up our already extreme vetting program. Being politically correct is fine, but not for this. Now, because of all the breaking news, I'm going to have my monologue investigating the investigators. Robert Mueller, wait till you hear this tomorrow. It is unbelievable what we found. But we continue with Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, the author of the brand new book, Fatwa, just out today, Hunted in America, Pam Geller, and also Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Geraldo, I did not hear Pam, and I never hear anybody say all Muslims. Nobody on this program thinks that. But there is a radicalized element within Islam that is causing chaos, death, misery, and wants a caliphate where everybody converts to their way or they will be killed. It is a real, clear, present danger for everybody. You know that because you lost friends on 9/11.
I absolutely do. But I'm a war correspondent. We are at war with radical Sunni Muslim extremists, whether they have a caliphate that's real or one that is virtual. Rather than focus on immigration. You can have that debate all night long if you want. I want to focus on protecting the population. The NYPD has done a great job, but we have to now take even more extreme, prudent measures. Like what? On that bicycle path, there was no, even after Nice, France, when they mowed down, killed 80 people in the south of France, we have to put a cement barricade. Sean, I'm saying let's fight this war. You can have that debate about immigration
but this is important. If you come from a country, hang on, we're friends. If you come from a country that You grow up under Sharia. You grow up, women can't drive, women are told how to dress, gays and lesbians are killed, Christians and Jews persecuted. How can we not vet you? Because are you bringing that sick ideology with you? And I'm sorry, Sharia, as practiced in many countries like Saudi Arabia, is oppressive to women, gays, lesbians, Christians, and Jews.
I don't disagree with anything you say, brother. Nothing. I think everything you just said is correct.
So we can vet them. We need to vet them.
But this, they're in Paterson, New Jersey, within sight of the of One World Trade Center. There are 25 to 30,000 people in that one little small New Jersey town.
I'm not asking that.
Muslims in that one small New Jersey town.
But if you're coming to this country in light of this, let me bring Pam in. I want to be fair. Pam.
Listen, putting up barriers. This is no war has ever been won on the defense. It's reactionary. My God, we're still taking off our shoes because of Richard Reed in 2001. You are never going to win a war that way. The idea that we stop certain Muslim immigration from Jihad Nation is a rational response. That we monitor mosques tied.
Minimum vet them.
We monitor mosques that have been tied to Jihad terror. The Boston Mosque in the Boston bombing. The Arizona Mosque.
Oh, no,
in the Garland Jihad. Any mosque that has been tied to Jihad terror should be surveilled. And if they are preaching and inciting to Jihad, they should be shut. This is not rocket science. This is elemental. This is logical.
Dr. Gorka.
I have to side with Pamela here. Look, you do not win a war by putting up concrete barricades. You don't turn America into a fortress. You take the war to the enemy. You take it to them in theater. We're stacking them like cordwood. But here, you take it to them. You don't look for jihadist American citizens or jihadist immigrants in Italian restaurants in New Jersey. You find them where they are recruited, where they are radicalized. And I'm sorry, Geraldo.
And what happens if they're already here? Wait a second. This guy lived in Paterson, New Jersey. You can do anything you want in Uzbekistan, Dr. Gorka.
De Blasio tried to shut down.
Guys, hang on.
Can I finish?
Let Dr. Gorka finish, then one at a time. Mayor de Blasio tried to shut down the surveillance programs that the NYPD created to find these guys that are here before they rent the truck. You're not going to ban truck rentals. Truck renting companies aren't going to save America. You've got to find the people where they're recruiting.
You teach the
NYPD is the best counterterrorism. The NYPD has become the best counterterrorism organization. We have to let them do their job.
I think I broke the news today that it was from Passaic, New Jersey, the Home Depot in Passaic, New Jersey, that the dude rented, that the killer, the scum dog, rented the Home Depot truck, the $19 truck. So what you do, as John Miller, the deputy commissioner, has tried to do, you tell the rental guy, if you have a guy coming up that you think is at all hinky, hey, what are you going to use the truck for? Just curious. And you get a response. I mean, do the prudent thing rather than say, okay, we're going to bomb them back to the Stone Ages in Uzbekistan, which, by the way, was not on the president's list of prohibited countries in his immigration restriction. So if you have a problem with that, you have to take it to the White House. You do the best you can. You fight the fight you can, and you count on.
Let's get a response. Hang on,
hero cops like Ryan Nash. That's how we've stopped them so far.
No one is discussing the jihadi ideology. No one is discussing the motive. That's where it is. Listen, it's why I wrote my book. Fatwa Hunted in America is the story of an American. Listen, it's my story, but I'm a proxy for every American who, in large and small ways, takes on this battle. I'm the hunted one. I am under.
You've had how many death threats?
First of all, a number of fatwas, the most serious, the ISIS. You had an imam on the show that announced I should be executed. I've been targeted for assassination a number of times simply because I stand in defense of freedom of speech.
I've had these threats like you have. I know not many, maybe not as many, a lot.
They're trying to kill me. And
they
why?
want you dead.
Because
There's no doubt about it.
I stand in defense of freedom of speech. Most Americans are like Helen Keller and someone moved the furniture. They don't even know what's happening right under their noses. And what Geraldo was describing is a cowardly approach, a defeatist approach. If he can't get a truck, he'll get a knife. If he can't get a knife, he'll get a gun.
New York is the number one target, Pamela, and this is the first successful attack since 9/11.
What is the Muslim world doing to expunge the Quran of the texts and teachings that incite to jihad?
We'll give 30 seconds closing arguments. Dr. Gorka first.
U-Haul truck rental owners are not going to protect Americans. You can't stop. It's not about the truck. It's about the ideology. We have to stop the spread of the ideology, and we have to have the intelligence systems in place in America to find the bad guy before he gets the knife, before he buys. You're not going to ban fertilizer.
Yep.
Ammonium nitrate is what they made the Boston bombs. Are you going to ban
bombing.
pressure cookers?
Yeah, you're right. Pressure cookers.
Right.
The Oklahoma City bombing. Geraldo. But that was Timothy McVeigh. Go ahead.
My point is this. There is already the enemy within. You have to fight overseas and you have to fight here. You have to fight the real caliphate and you have to fight the virtual caliphate. But to give up or to say the fight is all about immigration is to blind yourself to the reality. Orlando, the Pulse
let me
nightclub,
ask one question.
The Pulse nightclub kid was born in Queens, New York.
Geraldo, why not, if you come from a country that practices Sharia, which you know oppresses so many individual groups, why not vet you? Let's find out where your heart is.
I'm all for extreme vetting. I want to know every place you've ever been.
Do you support that, though? Do you support vetting?
I want your fingerprints. I want you to know. I want to know everything about you before I let you in.
Well, that's called racist in some circles and the rest of the media, right? So that's racist.
Absolutely. The problem is jihad, period. This is not rocket science.
All right, I got to roll. Thank you all. We have a lot more coming. Rare interview, the great one, Mark Levin, straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity. Joining us now on this breaking news night with full reaction to the news is the author of the #1 bestseller, Rediscovering Americanism and the Tyranny of Progressivism. A rare appearance. It's hard to grab this guy out of his bunker. Radio talk show host. I call him the great one, Mark Levin. Mark, great to see you. I truly, honestly, in my heart of hearts, wish we didn't have to talk about this again. The president is right about vetting. If you come from these countries with these really sick ideologies and oppression of innocent people, what about people that are here that we never vetted? You can't even vet people that aren't here without being called racist and Islamophobic. Don't we need to do a better job of understanding those that may have bought into this sick, twisted ideology?
Yeah, there's no question about it. But what's very interesting about this mass killer, he came here in 2010, so he was 22 years old. He wasn't a 4-year-old who came across the border with his mother. He came here, he was 22 years old, and he came under a program called the Diversity Visa Program. I started digging into this. You know what that is, Sean? It's a lottery program. It's been in existence for some time. 50,000 people a year come in here through the Diversity Visa Program. Because the Diversity Visa Program was set up, you see, to make sure that underrepresented countries can send their people into this country, too. And he did that in 2010. The program started before 1990, but in 1990 is when the current program was put into law under the Immigration Act. Do you know who the sponsor was? Chuck Schumer, the senior senator of New York.
Good grief.
It was and it took effect in 1995. People go online and they apply. They apply online, and it's a lottery system. That's no way to run an immigration system. I had a caller on my radio program tonight, and he said he used to work counterintelligence. Al-Qaeda and ISIS have actively been working to use this program to put sleepers in our country. This mass killer has claimed an association with ISIS, hasn't he? This diversity visa program should be gutted. We don't need a diversity visa program where 50,000 people a year come into this country through a lottery system because we want diversity from different countries. And we seem to forget the purpose of immigration. Historically, the purpose of immigration is to improve the United States, is to benefit the United States, not to ensure diversity from foreigners coming into this country, not to ensure that certain countries are well represented or even certain refugees are coming here from wherever they're coming from. Immigration is supposed to improve the United States. It has nothing to do with improving other countries and so forth. Also, some of your guests said something that I agree with 100%. You know, Barack Obama pulled our FBI agents and other people out of these mosques. We need physical individuals, FBI agents, whomever they are, to monitor certain situations. Pew did a study a couple of years ago, and I have it in my book, Plunder and Deceit. Pew, not me, Pew did a study. They surveyed American Muslims throughout the country. Over 80% of them said not enough is being done by the leadership in their own community in the United States to tap down the violent rhetoric and so forth. 5% said that, of people who are here, 5% said violence is acceptable. Now, the vast majority say no, and we keep saying the vast majority say no. But when are we going to have an honest discussion about this? We have discussions about race every other day. We have discussions about everything every day. But this issue is taboo because people don't want to destroy their careers, or we're told that you're a bigot if you bring it up. We're not a bigot if we bring it up. We're not condemning Muslims. We're condemning people who promote violence. And when they yell what they yell after they attack people, they've confessed, they've self-identified as to who they are. So in many respects, it is an immigration issue.
You know, Mark, it seems so basic. It seems so fundamental. It's what we call simple common sense. And that is that, okay, in light of the death, the destruction, the stated intent to kill innocent men, women, and children in the name of this fanatical, radical Islamic ideology, to me, it's basic common sense that if you want the honor of getting into this country, one, you should do it legally. Two, we just need to know that you're not going to want to kill us. And similarly, we probably have let many people in that do have extreme ideologies. Now, you're a constitutional authority. How do you do this? Thread the needle between the use of intelligence, vetting people, protecting the Fourth Amendment, their constitutional rights, and also protecting the American people. It's a harder question than it seems on the surface.
It's a harder question because you do have due process rights in some respects, depending on the status of the individual. Okay? The other problem is 40% of the federal judiciary is filled with Obama appointees. So when the President of the United States does something that's perfectly rational,
and they go judge shopping,
follows the statute, they're finding judges in Honolulu, in Baltimore, in Seattle, who are Obama judges. How many Reagan judges, how many even Bush judges have been involved in any of these immigration decisions? Very, very few. And what they're doing is the courts have now nationalized the immigration issue where the president's hands are tied. This is absurd. I mean, these are the same leftists who used to cheer FDR and claim that he's the greatest president in American history. FDR was rounding up Japanese Americans and Americans of Japanese descent, and they love FDR. Donald Trump is following the Constitution, following the statute, trying to protect America. I mean, we even have a federal judge who talks about due process rights for aliens before they even come to the United States to determine whether they should be here. This is progressivism gone nuts, and it's going to kill a lot more people. And you would have thought after 9/11 that people would take this issue of immigration seriously. Immigration is about national security, and you're exactly right. Once people get into the country, it becomes far more complicated. So you want to stop them at the border. And when the President of the United States said, as he did when he first came into office, we can't vet these people. Some of these governments are at effective war with us. Some of them don't exist. Some of them are involved in civil wars. You know, we can't call Yemen and say, hey, can you check this guy out on your computer system? There is no computer system. There is no effective government. And what the president is saying is,
can't take the risk.
You can't bring people in from these countries until we figure out what's going on.
You know, it's so funny what you said about this president being constitutional, because on the issue of DACA, it was Barack Obama who said, I don't have the power to act unilaterally. And it was President Trump that respected co-equal branches of government, separation of powers, things you discuss all the time. All right, we're running out of time. I want to get into a couple of issues. We have this whole Uranium One scandal. Our national security was sold out. Now we learn that Mueller, Rosenstein, Holder all knew about bribery, racketeering, extortion, money laundering, all happening in 2009. Holder still signed off on it. Mueller's investigating it. Mueller's appointed by Rosenstein. Between that and the Trump dossier that Clinton, the DNC, and Obama paid for, bought and paid for, Russian lies, propaganda to impact the American people in an election, I've got to know what you think about this, because to me, there is the real Russia conspiracy collusion.
Well, it's worse than collusion, isn't it? You know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, if any politicians, any administration had conferred control over 20% of America's uranium to the Russians, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? I mean, that would be considered an absolute, unbelievable act of treason. Now, I use this word treason because the Democrats made it popular when they were attacking Donald Trump Jr. for having a meeting. But you take those two cases. I'll tell you something else about Mueller. Let me jump right into his indictment of Manafort and Gates, if I may, just briefly, to show you what an incompetent this guy is, and yet what an iron-fisted out-of-control prosecutor this guy is. I read his indictment. It's irrational. First, he uses a marquee above one of the segments says, conspiracy against the United States. Now, most normal prosecutors put conspiracy, but he puts it out for the press because the press is stupid and the press wants to say what Mueller's saying. Conspiracy against the United States, like he's one of the Rosenbergs or something, which, of course, Manafort and Gates are not. Let's take a look quickly at the money laundering. To evade taxes is one of the reasons, right? But they don't charge them with tax evasion. So you're evading taxes and you don't charge them with tax evasion? What's that all about? Honestly, I don't know. To evade registering as a foreign agent. To evade registering as a foreign agent so he's laundering money, that charge is almost never brought. And if it is, you know what it is? It's a misdemeanor.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're telling me a man commits a felony to cover up a misdemeanor? That doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. Then we talk about foreign bank accounts. They're unreported, right?
You got 20 more, 20 seconds.
Were taxes paid on those funds?
Yeah.
Were taxes paid on those funds? Well, he didn't charge them with tax evasion. I guess they were. I don't know. Money laundering. You've got to have...
I got to roll, Mark.
Money...
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
Listen, I'd love to have you more. Come back more often. More Hannity after this. All right, our thoughts and prayers are always with the people, victims of terror. 8 families tonight lost loved ones. It is unbelievable. This has got to end. All right, that's all the time we have left this evening. We want to thank you for being with us. We'll have our monologue on investigating Robert Mueller and his corrupt team of investigators. You don't want to miss it. That's tomorrow night, and a big announcement coming up tomorrow night. Laura Ingram's up next. Thank you for being with us.